Hi, welcome back to Spring CS170. I want to just cut another video this week to cover some common questions that I've been getting and just to give you some more example code to work with. So here you can see, let me see if I can make this bigger here. Let me zoom on this. Okay, hopefully this is good, that people can see this pretty well. Okay, so what I've done here, I went into JSDO, and number one, I created a little function here to demonstrate taking in the array. All right, so you remember for your extra credit, I asked you to work with an array to calculate your pay. Okay, so I'm not doing exactly that, but it's kind of close, where I just take an array and I'm going to sum the hours within a for loop. Okay, now I didn't have to do it that way, but this way I kind of chose to do it, and I'll kind of explain it to you. Okay, so here, up here, where's the input array, I'm declaring that as my input parameter for this function calc total, and I'm declaring a variable called sum hours, and I equal to 0 to initialize that. And then I'm doing a for loop, and notice what I'm doing here. Right, so this is fine, right? So for, and then I declare a variable which I initialized as 0 called a count, and a count plus plus. But how many times do I go through the loop? Well, I can pass a whole bunch of different types of arrays here, so I don't really know. So what I'll do is I'll set the input array dot length, and that way I can pass in any type of array, and I'll do my loops based on the number of buckets in that array. Okay? And then as I loop through, you might get this in one of the other videos that we'll talk about as parts of like the computer. This is essentially accumulating all the hours, right? So this is sum equals to sum hours plus, and then I go to each element of the array and I keep on adding it to this, and the sum hours is basically accumulating all of the hours worked. And then I just do a quick alert here. So I do alert total hours, and then I do sum hours here. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So that's your function. Okay, now normally, remember what I said, for a function, what I'll do, what you should be doing, is I'll return the total hours and then let whatever they're calling area of the code, the main code, to actually handle whatever processing it wants to do. But this is like quick and dirty, so I'm just going to do the alert right here. So total hours and the sum hours here. Okay. You remember this from the last lecture. This is what I did. I declared the array var hours worked, new array with 6 buckets or 6 elements. Okay, and then I looped through. And what I did this time, instead of creating 2 different ones, you can see I did the comment here. So note that I did the /, and then I have the asterisk in there to comment out this code here. So instead of doing the assignment of the value here and then doing a separate loop to print it, I'm just going to do it all in one place. So I'm going to do the hours equals to x times 10, and then I'm going to do the alert and show which loop I'm in and show what x is, and I also show what is in the array, right? So the x element of the hours worked. Okay. And then over here, you remember here is the hours worked length, the length of the array. But you remember there was also in the lecture slide, there was also a thing where I just printed the whole hours worked array, right? So I just put that in here so you can see it. I wanted you to try that on your own, but I figure I'll do it here since I'm here. Okay. And then here, right outside the script, I just put in a little bit of HTML. Okay, so here I just put in a button, right? And then within the button for the on click, I call the calc total function, right? And then I just put the label here, which you see right here, total hours calc. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. So first I'm going through the loop here. So I'm on the 0, and it's 0, right? Because it's 0 times 10, obviously. Then I go through 1 times 10 is 10, right? So I'm getting that. So this is working as I would expect. and so on and so forth, right? So until I go to 50, or the fifth time through, which is still less than 6, and then I'm going to exit out. Okay, so now it says the array size is 6, which is right. And here's where I print out the whole array. So it goes 0 through 50, right? So that's each of the buckets here. All right, so I got through all of this part. So now what happens when I do the total hours calc? Total hours is 150, right? Well, how did I do that? You know what the values were, right? It went 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So if I add all those values together, I'll get 150, which is exactly what I was doing in this loop here. Oh, not here. When I was doing in this loop up here, this calc total, right here. Okay, so what did I demonstrate for this lecture? I demonstrated having a function with an input parameter that's an array, and how was I able to make the calculation on that array to be flexible? I used the dot length, right? Also, the other thing I did here was to do the calculation and do the printing on one place while I was working with the array in this for loop here. And the other thing I did was I did a print of the whole array, okay, or alert, I should say. Okay, and I also added a button down here where you can do on click and call my function. Okay, so hopefully this gives you some more examples of code to work with and try on your own, and this was useful for you. All right, thank you.